Hi everyone, welcome back to the video at Talent 500 channel. I am Kushal Vidya and I'm a software engineer at Microsoft and a content creator on YouTube. In today's video, we are going to talk about the type of questions that are going to ask you if you're applying for jobs that require Hyper-V routing or PowerShell related concepts. We will be talking about the most important questions that are needed to get you into the roles with require in these domain. If you're applying for your networking domain or IT infra related domains, then these topics are really important. And in big tech companies, these questions are actually very frequently asked. So make sure you watch the complete video till the end. We covered a lot of questions for your preparation. And if you have any doubts, make sure to comment down below. We are more than happy to help you. Apart from this, we have created multiple series for you to study for different domain. You can check them out. You can find all the links in the description and in the I button also. And let's get started with the video.
So let's get started with our interview series on routing, Hyper-V and PowerShell. Agenda for today will be we'll be talking about routing first, then Hyper-V and then PowerShell advanced questions. Without any further ado, let's get started with the first question, which is related to different memories used in Cisco router. So if the interviewer asks you this question, you have to explain all the different types of memories. Further, you have to also explain the salient feature of each one of them. Now talking about the NVRAM, which is the first type of RAM, which stands for non-volatile random access memory. One of the salient features of it is stores startup configuration file, and not only that, it retains the configuration file even if the router is shut down. The second is DRAM, which stands for dynamic random access memory. It is located near the processor that provides faster access to your data than the storage media such as the hard disk. So as compared to hard disk, the DRAM or the dynamic random access memory provides faster access to the stored media. It has a simple design, it is low cost and high speed. These are the main features of DRAM, and it is also a volatile memory. Comes the third type of memory, which is flash memory. Now it is used to store the system iOS. Flash memory is also used to store iOS images. Flash memory is erasable and reprogrammable ROM. So these are the features of flash memory, and these are three types of memories which are used in Cisco. Let's move on to our next question. What are the possible ways data transmission can happen in CCNA? Now, CCNA is something which is related to Cisco certification in this routing domain. Now, there are multiple possible ways of data transmission. You have to explain each one of them. That is Simplex, half duplex and full duplex. These are the three communication channels that is used to convey the information. Either the communication channel can be physical medium or it can be a logical medium also. You need to explain each of these three ways. Let's understand the first one, which is Simplex. The Simplex communication channel sends the data only in one direction. For example, Simplex channel could be a radio station where data transmission is only happening from the radio station. The radio station transmits the signal while the other receiver receives the signal. In Simplex mode, entire bandwidth can be utilized for the data transmission, as a flow of data is in one direction only. So since there is only one directional data transmission, the entire bandwidth can be consumed, as there is no data bandwidth has to be given to the other directional flow. So radio station is one of the examples. Moving to the next, which is half duplex. Now what is half duplex? The half duplex communication channel sends information in both directions, but not at the same time. For example, half duplex communication could be walkie-talkie. So in a walkie-talkie, both the transmitter and receiver can communicate with each other on the same channel. At a moment, only one direction is active. Performance of half duplex is better than single communication channel as data flows in both the directions. So performance in half duplex is better than Simplex. Also, the entire bandwidth can be consumed because when the message is sent over the communication channel, because in one moment we are only sending in one direction, so the entire bandwidth can be consumed in half duplex as well. Now coming to the third one, which is full duplex. So the full duplex communication channel can be used to send information in both the direction and also in the same time. Now, a simple and very common example for the same is a telephone line. In case of telephone, one can speak and hear at the same time. Therefore, the channel increases the efficiency of communication. But obviously, when it comes to performance, full duplex is better than half duplex channel as data flows in both the directions. That too, at the same time, you are getting a better performance because you are able to speak as well as hear at the same time, and the channel increases the efficiency of communication also. So this is how you have to explain the different types of communication channels used in CCNA. Going to our next question, which is what is point-to-point protocol in CCNA? First, you have to explain what is point-to-point protocol, and then you have to explain what are the features of it. Now, the point-to-point protocol is an industry standard suite of protocols which uses the point-to-point link to transfer multi-protocol datagram. Now, it's nothing but a standard set of protocols which uses the point-to-point transportation multi-protocol datagram. So basically, point-to-point protocol is a data link layer communication protocol between two routers directly without any host or any other network in between. So this is known as point-to-point protocol, and there are a lot of features associated with it. For example, link quality management. Now, what is link quality management? It is a technique to monitor quality of the link, and if it finds any error in the link, it shuts down the link. The point-to-point protocol also provides authentication. Further, it provides some essential features such as authentication, error detection, link quality monitoring, load balancing, and compression also. So you have to mention about all the features it provides and what does that mean. Along with these features, along with the definition, you should also explain the components of a point-to-point protocol. Now, the components of point-to-point protocol are encapsulation. What does that mean? Point-to-point protocol encapsulates the network packets in its frames using HDLC protocol. This makes the PPP layer 3-layer independent, which is point-to-point layer 3-layer independent. Link control protocol is used for establishing, configuring, and testing the data link for internet connections. And network control protocol. So these are the components of the point-to-point protocol, which is the encapsulation, link control protocol, and network control protocol. The network control protocol is used in the data link layer in the OSI reference model. The data comes from the upper layer, that is transport layer or the network layer, and is fully compatible with PPP due to the presence of a network control protocol. So these are three things you have to explain if point-to-point protocol question is being asked in an interview. Moving on to our next question, which is what is CDP, and explain its functions. Now, CDP stands for Cisco Discovery Protocol. It is a layer 2 proprietary protocol that runs on Cisco's devices, including routers and switches. So Cisco produce devices such as routers and switches, and there is a layer 2 protocol, proprietary protocol, which is like by Cisco, and it is known as Cisco Discovery Protocol. This protocol collects information about directly connected neighboring devices. There are CDP functions such as iOS version running on Cisco devices. This is the information that CDP collects of its connected devices, IP addresses, the hardware platform of the devices, interface details, host name, VTP domain, duplex settings, native VLANs. So these are the things that a Cisco Discovery Protocol captures from the neighboring connected devices. Moving on to our next question, which is explain the term Unicast, Multicast, and Broadcast. Now, these are very important terms which are frequently used in routing and similar domains. So in all these three terms, cast refers to transmitting data packets from the client to the recipient over the communication channel. If we talk about Unicast, so it is a one-to-one communication technique in which data communication occurs between a single sender and a single recipient in the network. So basically, when you talk about unicast, there is only one sender and there is only one receiver. For example, browsing a website, the web server is the sender, and your computer, using that website, is a receiver for that. Downloading a file from a FTP server, the FTP server is the sender, whereas your computer is the receiver of the downloaded file. Coming to the broadcast, which is the second one, which is one to all. Now it specifies one-to-all communication, as the name suggests. You might have seen WhatsApp broadcast list, or there are other broadcasting channels also. Data communication takes place among all the devices available in the network, where the sender is a single source but the receivers are many. The data is sent from one computer once, and the copy of that data is forwarded to all the connected devices. Two types of broadcasts are limited broadcast and direct broadcasting. For example, television is a very common example of the same. Television networks for video and audio distribution. Now when it comes to multicast, which is one to many, if I'll talk about email, is an example of the same, where you're mailing to a group of people. So you are the sender, but it is getting received to a few people which are a part of that mailing group, similar to WhatsApp groups also. Multicast specify one to group or one to many communication. In multicast, one or more senders or one or more recipients participate in data transfer. IP multicast traffic is sent to a group, and only members of that group can receive the multicast traffic. It uses Internet Group Management Protocol to identify the group. So the next question is, what is the difference between HyperV Gen 1 and Gen 2 virtual machines, and when would you choose one over the other? So Generation 1 VMs emulate traditional hardware and support legacy operating systems, whereas Generation 2 VMs use UEFI firmware and support modern operating system versions. So what should be the criteria to choose Gen 1 is something you need to explain first. So if you want maximum compatibility with older OS versions or certain configuration that requires specific hardware, then you should go for Gen 1. Whereas Gen 2 VMs are preferable for better performance, security features, and support newer OS versions. So this is how you have to explain to the interviewer when to use which one. Moving to our next question, which is, how do you enable or configure Hyper-V virtual machine replication for disaster recovery? So virtual machine replication in Hyper-V allows asynchronous replication of VMs, virtual machines, to a secondary host in case of any disaster or something. This virtual machine replication allows asynchronous replication of VMs to a secondary host. To enable it, go to the Hyper-V manager, right click on the VM, and then select enable replication. Configure the replication settings and specify the replication frequency and select the target host for replicated VM. So this is how you can enable it for your VM. You can apply the enable replication thing in case of disaster recovery. So this is how you can configure your Hyper-V virtual machine replication for disaster recovery. Moving to our next question, which is, what are the Hyper-V integration services and why are they important for VM performance? So Hyper-V integration services are a set of drivers and services that improve VM performance, such as time synchronization, mouse integration, and network optimization. Now, why are they important for a VM performance? Installing these services enhances the interaction between VM and the host, resulting in better performance and smoother operations. So this is how it is very important for VM performance, because it enhances the interaction between the VM and the host. Okay, let's move on to our next question, which is, how do you perform a live migration in Hyper-V? What are the prerequisites for a successful live migration? Now, to perform a live migration, these are the steps you have to follow. You have to explain. Right click on the VM in Hyper-V manager, select move, and then choose move to the virtual machine to a new host. The VM will be migrated with minimal downtime. Now, the prerequisites required for this successful live migration is it includes compatible processor with hardware-assisted virtualization, a properly configured virtual network, shared storage, and appropriate permission for the administrator. Now, these are the requirements for the prerequisites for successful live migration. And how to perform it is simple. You have to right click, select move, and then move the virtual machine to the new host. Moving to our next question. This is probably the last question for our advanced questions on Hyper-V. So you have to explain the purpose of Hyper-V checkpoints and how they differ from traditional backups. So Hyper-V checkpoints provide point-in-time images of a VM state, allowing administrators to revert a previous state if needed. So what they do is they provide point-in-time images of a virtual machine state, and which allows the admins to revert to a previous state if required. Now, why this is helpful? This is helpful for temporary changes and for testing purposes. However, checkpoints are not meant for long-term data retention or backups. Backups capture the entire VM state, including memory and configuration. So these checkpoints are not meant for long-term retention, or these are not equivalent to backups. Backups capture the entire VM state, including memory, configuration, ensuring a complete and consistent snapshot of the recovery process. So if backup is completely different from the Hyper-V checkpoints, they are more reliable. It ensures a complete snapshot of the recovery purposes. Okay, now moving to our next question, which is related to PowerShell now. It will include some commands also. So what are PowerShell modules and how do they simplify script management and reusability? How would you install and manage custom PowerShell modules in a system? Now it's a simple question that you need to explain to the interviewer. What are PowerShell modules first of all? PowerShell modules are nothing but self-contained script libraries that contains functions, commandlets, and variables that extend the functionality of the PowerShell. It's similar to what programming languages modules provide. It's a self-contained script libraries that contains functions, commandlets, and variables to extend the functionality of the PowerShell. They improve script management and reusability. How do they do that? They do it by grouping related functionalities together. And then we have how to install it and how to manage the custom PowerShell modules. To install the custom PowerShell module, you can use install module commandlet from the PowerShell gallery. For example, you can type this command given, install module name and then the module name. And to manage the installed modules, you can use the get module, import module, and remove module commandlets. This is how you can manage, you can install, and you can simplify script management and reusability of modules. Okay, so the next question is, describe the process of managing Windows services using PowerShell. Okay, and then we have how would you start, stop, restart, and set the startup type of a service using PowerShell commands. So here you need to first of all describe the process, and then how would you start, stop, restart, and set the startup type of a service using the PowerShell commands. So you need to explain step-by-step commands for it. So to manage the Windows services using PowerShell, you can use get service, start service, stop service, and set service commandlets. To get information about the service, get service name, then the service name. To start a service, start service name, hyphen name, and then the service name. Similarly, for stopping a service, stop service, hyphen name, and the name of that service. To restart, it's very simple and similar. Restart service, hyphen name, and then the name of that service. To set the startup type to automatic, set service, hyphen name, hyphen startup type to automatic. Replace service name with actual name of the service you want to manage. Moving ahead to our next question, which is explain the difference between PowerShell remoting and PowerShell direct, and when would you use each method for managing remote systems. So you need to explain both of them and the difference between the two and when to use which one. So PowerShell remoting allows you to execute PowerShell commands and script on remote systems over a network. As the name suggests, it allows you to execute PowerShell commands over a network or on remote systems. It uses Windows Remote Management as the underlying communication protocol. Whereas when it comes to PowerShell Direct, it enables to run PowerShell command directly on a virtual machine over a Hyper-V host without the need of connectivity. So the PowerShell command can be run over a virtual machine from the Hyper-V host without the need of any connectivity, and this is known as PowerShell Direct. Use PowerShell remoting when managing systems over a network or remotely accessing Windows servers and workstations, whereas you should use PowerShell Direct when you need to manage Hyper-V virtual machines and have administrative access to Hyper-V host. So this is self-explanatory when to use PowerShell remoting. Obviously, when you are over a network and you want to manage those machines, those Windows servers and workstations remotely, whereas PowerShell Direct is when you need to manage a Hyper-V VMs and you have the administrative access to the Hyper-V host. Okay, moving to our next question, which is explain the concept of PowerShell providers and what are built-in providers in PowerShell and how do they enable access to different data stores. So PowerShell providers are nothing but a set of components that allow PowerShell to access different data stores as if they were file systems. So PowerShell providers are the set of components that allow easy access to different data stores available. Now this means that you can use familiar file system commands like get children, set item, remove item to interact with various data sources. So it's more like how do you access to your file system. PowerShell providers allow you to do this access to data store in a similar manner. Now built-in providers in PowerShell include file system, which provides the access to the file system of the local computer, registry, which allows interaction with the Windows registry. A registry is something which stores a lot of system related information or application related information. Certificate provides access to certificates in the certificate store. Environment allows you to manage environment variables. For example, to list items in the registry, you can directly do get child item commandlet the registry drive. Now the command you can see below, get child item, you have to provide the path to it, registry, and then H key local machine, and then the complete path basically, and then it will list you the items in the registry. This is that simple. Moving on to our last question for today. Explain the concept of PowerShell modules and how they enhance code reusability and organization of PowerShell scripts. How do you import and use functions from a custom PowerShell module in your script? This is somewhat similar to what we have discussed earlier, but we'll repeat it again. So PowerShell modules are nothing but self-contained script libraries that contain functions, commandlets, variables, and other resources. We have already discussed it in previous slides. And they enhance the usability and organization by grouping the functionalities together, which is making it easier to maintain a sharing script. Now the different part in this question is how to import and use those functions from custom PowerShell module in your script. To import and use functions from a custom PowerShell module, you have to follow these steps. First of all, you have to create a PowerShell script containing the functions you want to use and save it in a PowerShell M1 file, PSM1 extension. This script will become your custom module. Now load this custom module into your script using the command import module, -name of that module, and then -name and then name of that module. Once your module is imported, you can use its functions in your script like any other commandlet. For example, you need to get the result. My custom function -parameter is you'll be passing a parameter value 1, then the parameter passing value 2, and then you'll be getting that result. So my custom function is the function name, you're passing the parameters parameter 1 and parameter 2. By organizing code into modules, you can avoid duplication, making script more modular, and obviously share functions across different scripts and projects efficiently. So this is how it enhance code reusability and organization, basically by grouping things together. And this is how you can import and use functions from custom PowerShell scripts, modules in your script. This is it for today. I hope you guys have learned something new today. And if you have any doubts left, please make sure you comment it down, and make sure you watch other content on the channel also related to it. We have made a lot of content in this domain as well as other domains also, if you want to get into senior engineering roles at big tech companies. Hope to see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe and like the video as well. Thank you.